Welcome to the Hyper Room. I'm your host, Casey Lau. Each episode of the Hyper Room, I'll be interviewing people from different walks of life that are in the pop culture world. From comics to movies to toys to video games and beyond. People who contribute to the creative or business side of the pop culture industry, giving you insight into the thought process behind your favorite pop culture stuff. This episode, I welcome Andy Oddie from Funko into the Hyper Room. Andy started off in the prehistoric world of mail order for pop culture collectibles that then rolled into a chain of stores across Europe called the Forbidden Planet, which then ignited his own toys and merchandise brand in 2001 called Underground Toys, with merchandise featuring top British licenses like Doctor Who and Sherlock, as well as global phenomenon Star Wars, where the infamous Death Star barbecue grill and Darth Vader oven mitts came from. That led to being acquired by Funko last year, the makers of the super popular pop vinyl figures, and now Andy leads Funko's operations in the European, Middle East, and African markets. Andy's perspective into the selling of pop culture merchandise is so varied, I thought you'd love to learn more about him and about what he does and how he sees things from Doctor Who to Star Wars from a merchandise perspective. So strap yourselves in as Andy Oddie and I head into the Hyper Room.
The Hyper Room.
All right, we're here with Andy Oddie from Funko. How's it going, Andy?
Good.
Great. Let's start off with your earliest pop culture memory.
That would be packing Star Trek videos for a mail order company I used to work for. First job out of university, and I pulled together a mail order campaign to sell Star Trek Deep Space Nine and Voyager. I know you're a big fan of Star Trek,
Yeah.
Casey. And off the back of that, we then published a little catalogue that went with those videos of related merchandise. So Star Trek would be my first memory.
And then which Star Trek is your favorite?
My favorite would be most of the movies, actually.
Yeah.
I think the movies do a lot more for me than the series.
Interesting.
What about you?
Classic Trek for sure.
Yeah.
I like Captain Kirk in the originals.
Yeah, and the classic, actually. Yeah, come on, yeah. Kirk in his yellow.
Yeah, exactly. Still selling merchandise today?
Not much. I mean, Star Trek's been quiet now they keep trying to reboot it, don't they? But I think it's not been strong now for 10 years, realistically.
Yeah. Oh, I noticed there's a new show called Discovery, and I noticed there's no product in your showroom.
Nothing.
Oh,
yeah, I think it's due to come back around again because these things do, don't they? But there's nothing right now.
Interesting. All right, so I want to kind of go over some of your career highlights to kind of give their audience some insight into what you've done, because a lot of people don't know that you're actually been in this career for quite a long time, starting all the way back with Forbidden Planet.
Correct. Yeah.
So kind of walk us through that. I know it's you and a bunch of other guys together started doing this. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah. So I've been in the industry about just over 20 years. And I actually merged a company that I had selling mail order pop culture with Forbidden Planet. So that's how I got involved. So that's how I got to be an owner of Forbidden Planet, through basically rolling up that company, selling that company into what was a retail chain. And we only had about 8 stores at the time. Now we have about 16 or 17 stores. So that mail order company was something that the business needed at the time because the internet was just starting, I guess. And it made sense to inherit something which was a direct to consumer through the mail business, because that spoke to everything that Amazon does right now, right?
But you did it in catalog format, right?
But there was no internet. At the very beginning, it was just a catalog, a big thick catalog. You remember the catalog?
Yes.
Thing? It's about as thick as that one there. 130 pages of pop culture merchandise. And
how did you send that out? Like, how did people get it?
You use mailing houses, and you get an advantageous rate through the mail company. Royal Mail in the case of the UK, and you mail that to your 65,000 subscribers. Those were people we recruited and also paid for from other vendors to get onto our list.
Oh, interesting.
So we built a direct consumer business, which Forbidden Planet then effectively acquired or merged with us.
Got it.
And I merged for equity in the Forbidden Planet.
Understand. And then, so those stores are mostly around Europe, right, in the UK?
Yeah, mainly in the UK and Ireland. So we are in Edinburgh, Glasgow, Dublin, Belfast, Cardiff.
I was recently in Edinburgh, in Scotland, and I noticed you have a store there right in the center of Old Town. And this time I visited, which is just a couple of months ago, there's a competitor that opened another pop culture store right next door to yours. How has that affected the sales in the show?
Well, interestingly, it's not really affected the sales that much, if at all. And I think that speaks to how strong pop culture is right now. Particularly if you're able to do something slightly different. I don't think they sell any comics in there. And if you want to focus entirely on some specific brands or position things slightly differently, I think there's a place for 10 pop culture stores in a major city.
Wow.
Why not? The biggest threat for a retailer, of course, is the online piece, is Amazon and some of the other online players like EMP, who are big in Europe. So there'll always be that attrition because they're selling a lot of volume now.
Yeah.
But in terms of other retail bricks and mortar, I think there's definitely a place for multiple stores in most of the main cities. Because it's become a movement, a way of life for a lot of people to buy pop culture merchandise.
So you have a lot of stores in Europe, and then you have an online presence. Is one beating the other? Are they in sync together? How does that work?
Yeah, we're not actually as strong as we should be online. We are re-looking at our strategy to try to get more out of it, particularly through social media, and those kinds of consumers that are now as we know, always on. They are digitally very capable, and we don't do enough to communicate with them. So we're looking at cranking all that up. The likes of Amazon are obviously affecting sales significantly because they are very aggressive. But there are other players like EMP who are also doing well. But as I was saying earlier, I think there's a place for at least 3 to 5 pop culture oriented stores in any major city in the UK.
So are you still involved with Forbidden Planet?
Yeah, I'm on the board. Yeah, of that,
on the board. Okay.
Yeah.
And maybe you can tell us, like, what does the typical customer look like today in 2018?
Well, very different. I think we've got this phrase, I may, for my sins, have coined it, casual geek.
Okay.
So I never like the phrase geek anyway. I don't know about you, but I guess you don't mind it.
I don't mind it.
Yeah, you don't mind it. But I never liked it. But the casual geek is someone who would be in and out of pop culture on a much less frequent basis than someone who buys a comic book every week, right?
Yeah.
So you can be into pop culture through watching Netflix or through picking up shows. Through iTunes, but not necessarily be completely engrossed in buying the merchandise. But that casual geek will buy 1 or 2 items, and they'll probably buy a pop vinyl because a pop vinyl is fairly innocuous in terms of a purchase. You can have one on your desk, and it doesn't make you a hardcore super geek. We have so many of those within the Funko range that even I would be having a few of those on my desk probably. Yeah.
And then, so you have all these stores, you have an online business, and then you decide, I'm going to make toys now, right? So you launch Underground Toys.
Yeah, there's a bit in between, which was that we started distributing the items that we were selling directly to consumers. So through a catalogue we produced, some retail buyers got interested in our items, and they requested to purchase those products from us on a trade basis. So one customer example was HMV, who you probably have heard of.
Yep.
A few of those in Hong Kong.
Yep.
And they started selling the merchandise that we were selling on our catalogue, but they bought it from us, which was great. So that started the distribution up. We gradually rolled those products into more and more customers, and then figured out in the end that maybe we should be making this stuff ourselves and make a bit more margin and approach the licensors. So a friend of mine and yours, Henry Unger, helped me get in touch with the licensors, and we managed to acquire some rights for properties like Star Wars, actually.
Wow. So you got Star Wars as one of your first licenses?
Not one of the first, maybe like the 6th or 7th. Okay. You have to have a few licenses before you get Star Wars.
So what was your first
Otherwise
one?
they don't trust you.
What was your first one? Do you remember?
The first one was Star Trek, actually.
Star Trek, oh wow.
Yeah, the Star Trek
all comes in a circle.
Resin busts from a company called Legends in 3 Dimensions.
Oh wow, great.
That was Henry's company as well.
Yeah. And so Star Trek, so what did you make? What was the first product?
We didn't. It was a license, but we weren't making the items because Henry's company were making them, and we were effectively distributing them under licensed stuff. Got it. And then the first manufacturing license would be probably the. Let me just think what that would be. Oh yes, the little Apple dolls. Do you remember those? Those ghouly dolls.
Yeah.
They were kind of had no face, and Hot Topic took those on as an exclusive.
Got it. So yeah, just to go back, some people don't know. So the licensing issue, right? So say Henry has the license for a product in the U.S. So you're getting the license to distribute that product
sometimes,
in another market, right?
Correct. Yes. It's the manufacturer doesn't change, but the distributor under license does change.
Perfect. Okay, and so and how has Underground Toys has grown from toys to housewares to all kinds of different products.
So we got into other categories off the back of the toys and the soft toys. We got into other categories like homewares, and then it was those categories I think that were appealing to Funko in terms of the acquisition that took place this time last year. So that and the fact that we were also distributing Funko's items across Europe, so it kind of the deal made sense. It gave them additional categories, and it gave them the distribution that they didn't already have.
So the housewares category line, I guess that's very interesting because that is the ultimate casual geek product, right? A lot of people won't buy an action figure, but they'll buy a mug with C-3PO on it.
And that's right. It's one further removed from a pop vinyl, which is again fairly innocuous, but a homewares item it's functional. You get to use it, which means it's your wife or your husband isn't going to be frustrated that you put all this merchandise because it's a pizza cutter and you're actually using it for something, right? Or it's cutlery and it's got it's some Star Wars logos on there, but actually you still get to use it. So, or it's an egg cup and you get to use it. The kids use it. So I think that's probably why that area works well within that casual geek notion.
Yeah. And how long did Underground Toys started, and then how did it?
Yeah, I think so. Launched in about realistically 03, 04.
Wow, okay.
We sold that in 17, so 12, 13 years.
Yeah, wow, great. And then so the Funko acquisition. So this is a big story, right? So Funko is famous for doing the pop vinyl figures. They want to grow their category line, so they look at Underground Toys and say this is a perfect match for what we're doing. So tell us a little bit about how that come about. Obviously you have a relationship with Funko, and how's it been since?
Yeah, no, I distributed for Funko for 15 years actually, on and off.
Wow.
And then more aggressively in the last 5 years, Underground took on the Funko range and got the sales really going across Europe. So, known Brian since the beginning of our businesses together. Really, we both had two little booths at Comic-Con in London, and at New York rather. Yeah. And so that as that range started to explode, it was an obvious kind of deal to put together.
Yeah, great.
So we were talking for a while, and then finally concluded it in January.
Great,
last year.
So it's been a year now.
Has
the business changed for you in that year working with Funko?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got so much more resource in the business. We're well financed now. We're actually a public company now. Yeah. We floated on the NASDAQ in November. Yeah. So resource wise, many more people in sales and purchasing, many more people in IT and operational areas which we didn't have enough of in the old world pre-acquisition, so that's been useful. I think digital is a massive initiative for the business, so we actually acquired another company recently called Evil Corp out of Bath in England, and we've now renamed them Funko Digital Animation Studios.
Oh, wow.
We're making our own shorts featuring our items basically.
Wow, that's great. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about toy trends now. All right, you've seen a lot from your last 20 years in the business. What do you think, when you look back, what is the most successful license that you have worked with, maybe besides Star Wars?
Yeah, I think we knocked Star Wars out of there because that was kind of everyone's most successful. Even though I think it's under a bit of pressure right now, it's probably everyone's most successful. I think in terms of where we're at today, I think success within the specialty pop culture licensing market is slightly different kind of success to everything else. So you would look at something like Family Guy. It was huge 7 or 8 years ago. That was a massive licensing initiative. Wow. Simpsons, massive as well. Yeah. So those would be pop culture oriented licenses that don't necessarily always, certainly as a Family Guy, translate into the mass market, but they are hot within the pop culture world. Yeah. So, or within the merchandise world that's more oriented towards specialty market. Yeah. So definitely those. Twilight was absolutely huge, as you remember. Yeah. 5 years ago, those were groundbreaking kind of opportunities for licensees
that were outside of Star Wars mold, right?
Yeah,
something that didn't have any real characters like a Darth Vader, right? It was like mostly young kids.
It was all kind of supernatural stuff. Yeah, and young kids. Doctor Who, obviously, is one close to our hearts as British people. We've Doctor Who's been around over 50 years now. Yeah, it's going through some changes at the moment. There's going to be a female Doctor coming up this fall. Yeah, so let's see how that plays out. But that was obviously a huge license. Again, came back around 5 years ago. It was huge 20 years ago. Yeah, it's one that keeps reinventing itself. So let's see what happens in this year.
Now that you mentioned Doctor Who, you remind me of a story you told me when they changed the Doctor to Peter Capaldi, right?
Yeah.
You were saying that the Doctor Who brand, because to me, I'm not a fan of Doctor Who. I know what it is and I understand and I respect it, but I see that you said that when it was Matt Smith, I think who's the last Doctor, his character of Doctor Who appealed to women in the U.S. market. Or
Correct.
was it?
And so did David Tennant. Those two Doctors were the most popular that the US has ever had.
Yeah.
And also the UK, really, actually. Yeah. But when Capaldi came on, I think that there was a lot of, how can I put it, people were a little confused because he's an older guy, maybe a very good doctor, but he wasn't going to appeal to a 19-year-old girl shopping in Hot Topic.
Yeah.
So, or a 15-year-old girl shopping in Hot Topic. So I think the brand, as a result, didn't perform as well as it had been doing with that female market.
Yeah.
The hardcore Doctor Who fan probably appreciates Capaldi,
but
what had been achieved prior to that was a much broader mass appeal through the female audience shopping in Hot Topic.
Sure. So what do you think about now? Now they have a female Doctor with a male companion.
Yeah, that's an unusual one. I mean, that's a complete curveball. I don't know how it's going to play out, and we aren't as aggressively pursuing Doctor Who right now, so I don't have the vested interest that I used to have.
Got it.
But be interesting. Again, the assistant appears to be an older guy, which is an unusual thing to have done. But yeah, I hope it's successful again. It needs to be.
Yeah, great. All right, so you spend a lot of time between London and China, actually, right? You do the process in developing the toys.
Yeah,
here?
less so now. So I used to do all of that when we were underground.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't anyone else, frankly, to look after that things. I used to do all that. Now, actually, we have a team doing all of that. Some of them out of Seattle, some of them out of this region. So I would say I don't spend more than 5% of my time worrying about the production anymore. That's all catered for. We have over 500 staff at Funko, so there's over 100 in product development. So.
But in the old day, you would get the license, you would make the prototype, you'd get it approved by the licensor, and then you bring it over to Asia to look into factories to mass produce it.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, you can do a lot of that digitally now. Of course, you don't have to do so much schlepping around the world.
Yeah.
Send things down the line.
Do you miss it?
Actually, no. It's extremely laborious at times. I mean, it's backwards and forwards with factories and then licensors. It's just incredibly time consuming. So I don't miss that, actually. No, it's nice to see things just come out and be shipped without me having to worry about it.
Exactly. How about the licensing process? I think that is one of the things a lot of fans don't really understand a lot about, because it's kind of behind the scenes and it's kind of the business element of it. So, for instance, a new Star Wars comes out. The Last Jedi just came out, and obviously you've known about this product or this film and the titling and everything, because they talked to the product makers a lot earlier. Like, maybe tell us a little bit about, like, how does that work? So Lucasfilm calls you up and says, "Hey, we're gonna release this new film. What's the next step?"
Yeah, it probably varies on how important you are to the licensor, which way around it works. Mm-hmm. Generally speaking, you're pitching to them. If you're less important, and if you're more important, they're pitching to you. Yeah. So I've noticed a shift over the last several years where people now pitch to us continually. It used to be slightly the other way around. Okay. So Disney will come to us with ideas, or Fox will come to us with ideas. Yeah. Same company now. Yeah. Universal will come to us with ideas and opportunities on properties, and so that's a change for sure. Yeah. From what it used to be like for me.
How far out do they come to you? Like, is it a year, 2 years?
Yeah, over a year very often. Yeah. But as Funko, we're much quicker than traditional cycles. I mean, we're concepting something and bringing it to market in 90 days. Yeah. The average toy company's products development cycle and to market would be 12 to 18 months. So, wow, yeah. So we're much quicker, which is good because it means we can keep up with the pace of the digital age, right? In terms of bringing good content into merchandise.
Yeah, people want to buy it faster when they saw it. Yeah, exactly. And then so Lucasfilm comes to you with a Porg, the new characters, and what's your first impression? Do you see toys right away? Or?
They showed us some very edited early cuts.
Oh wow, lucky you.
So seeing that enabled us to understand that was probably going to be a hot character from the film. Yeah. And it was. Yeah. And we had a plush license too, so that's helpful. That's great. On that kind of character.
Do you think that they make these characters with this in mind?
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well,
they don't actually physically say that to you, but it's like it's
some of them do say that.
Really?
But yeah, not so much Disney, but others do.
Sure. To give you, they need to. Is it easy for you to like get on board with an idea, or do they have to like really say like this would make a great toy or whatever, like that kind of?
Yeah, they do a bit of that.
Yeah.
There's definitely an element of that in their game. They'll tell you that this is going to be a great piece of merchandise. Look, this is why it's going to be a great piece of merchandise. And sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't.
So what do you look for when you see licenses pitched to you? What to you stands out? So if I have a new property and I want to pitch it to you, what are you looking at mostly?
I think that one of the biggest things that has become an important feature of a strong license is whether it's got any history, nostalgic history.
Okay.
Nostalgic history normally means it's going to have an evergreen type feel to it, from or component to it from a retail sales point of view. It's got evergreen interest, like a Harry Potter or a Star Wars.
Yeah.
It's got a nostalgic piece and the history behind it. That'll mean it's more likely to sell consistently on the shelves versus a property that's in and out that becomes something.
So that is why Hollywood does a lot of movies that are based on old properties.
Well, I'm not sure it's why in the context of merchandise. They may not be thinking about merchandise, but they may be thinking of how successful the film will be. But the knock-on of that is that the merchandise potentially resells over a longer period of time as well.
Interesting. Let's talk a little bit about specialty and mass, right? So in the old days, which may be 10 years ago, right, you're very focused on specialty, right?
Yes.
Which is like the Hot Topics, those places where it's like niche, right?
Yeah.
Now you go to Toys R Us and Target, they have their own sections for specialty products. Is it called specialty anymore?
Yeah, I think it's pop culture is what we call it.
Yeah.
Within and pop culture lifestyle categories that we have sit well in those sections. So I think the likes of Target have seen their movie and video game and music sales fall right away, of course, because that format's going to be gone. And
exactly, right? Yeah.
So you know,
going to feel with something new. So
so something new and something that's similar, right? And appeals to a similar audience. So for now, our items might sit adjacent to those products, those categories that are winding down. And at some point, when those categories are completely wound down, hopefully there'll be a place, and I believe there will be a place for the pop culture merchandise to sit there on its own.
Yeah.
We're not always in the movie and video game section. We're often in line anyway. We like to have a curated section of pop culture merchandise. We're not wanting to be necessarily sat within our individual brand, like a Star Wars or a Marvel. We would like to have our curated pop culture section stand out separately within stores.
Interesting. And it's interesting because I think of all the products that are getting digitized these days, the pop culture merchandise is going to be very difficult, right? You want a physical toy or a t-shirt or something that shows off something that you really believe in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think merchandise has changed in a sense because we now talk about toys and merchandise. We don't talk about a lifestyle brand. We acquired a company called Loungefly in the summer, who are selling, I think I showed you the products earlier on, they're selling bags and wallets and accessories using a version of the license or style guide, but actually the product looks a little different to what you'd expect to see on a normal label slap bag or wallet. Yeah. And that's what's interesting. Most of the Funko items are stylized in that sense. Yeah. They don't look to be completely on brand. We are utilizing the style guide in other ways.
What do you see? Like, okay, we have there's a dateline in pop culture, I think, and I think it's now the birth of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So the beginning of kind of Iron Man is kind of the beginning of this whole new thing. How do you think it's changed? Do you also agree with me that is kind of like the
it's
touchstone?
Supported the growth of pop culture. I think there's a danger that we may be getting saturated now with these movies, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's 10 of them, 10 comic book movies coming out this year alone.
Yeah, that's a lot. We've been going 12 years since the first Iron Man, or 10 years?
It's 10 years.
Yeah, and so that movie and certainly Disney's acquisition of Marvel and Lucas have changed pop culture and brought it to a wider appeal. But the danger, of course, is that it becomes too big. Yeah. So we just got to watch for that and keep it under control. I'm sure Disney are very aware of that.
I want to talk to you a little bit about the con circuit. What is your favorite show that you go to, and what do you usually use it for besides sales? Do you use it to test like what's popular, what's going to be popular?
So now my favorite show is the London Comic Con, actually.
London Comic Con.
Yeah, which is a really big show. It's 2 a year, and we have a big presence there. We're probably the biggest exhibitor there.
Oh, okay.
It certainly feels like we're the biggest. Maybe now there's the maximum square footage there, but we certainly look like we're a big player at that show, and we have droves of people queuing up to buy items, exclusive products at that show.
And they're all over from Europe, right? Not just people from
US. I mean, a lot of US people come to the London Comic Con. I think we're about 80,000 or maybe 90,000 people.
Wow.
So that's from a low start of 10, 12,000. 3 or 4
Incredible.
years.
Every city has a Comic-Con
Yeah.
these days. San Diego,
Absolutely.
it doesn't have the
Absolutely.
the thing on it anymore, right? I saw one that was in Calgary, in Canada.
Yeah, well,
and that
we're
was
going
huge
to
too.
Dubai Comic-Con.
Dubai.
They have 70,000 people. We're going there
Amazing.
in April. There's a Comic-Con in Lisbon.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's incredible. I was just talking to the guys from India. There's 2 cons, one in December, one in January. Incredible.
Amazing. It's everybody's into it.
There must be, the Nordics have them. So of course that generally appeals to a slightly harder core audience than would be our
Casual
broader
geek,
customer,
yeah,
our
yeah,
casual
yeah.
geek, yeah.
But you're saying now, like, that's a lot of people going to a con. They're paying to go and shop for stuff they can buy in the Forbidden Planet store for free.
Well, you say that, but they're also getting exclusive products at that.
Okay, so it's exclusive products is the
That
draw.
makes a big difference, yeah.
And meeting the celebrities, maybe they're there signing
And getting some
autographs.
signings and there's some
Yeah.
panels and stuff. So I think
Yeah.
there's a different reason for being there. But you're right, a lot of them are there to shop.
Yeah.
And they're shopping for normal items, but I think they like the experience of being amongst their buddies,
Yeah.
dressing up.
Dressing up, yeah,
It's
yeah.
all part of it.
It's fantastic. It's amazing. Can you imagine this like 10 years ago when you
Well,
were...
it was the beginnings of it were San Diego, obviously that's where we're at.
But it's gone everywhere. Like
Now
into
it's
these
gone.
places.
Now it's
Dubai
everywhere.
even.
Yeah.
China, everybody has it. It's crazy. Okay, so kind of the last question, the Funko legacy, what happens, what's going on in 2018? I'm here at your showroom right now, and you're showing off the new lines, but not all the new lines, just a small percentage of new stuff coming up. I see you're trying out new formats, new things like that. What else is going on?
Well, I think the acquisition of the digital studio is going to be a bit of a game changer for us.
Okay.
Watch this space on that one, but that's certainly interesting to us. We're a British company, which is good for our British Funko employees to have another company in the stable from the UK.
Yeah.
So I think watch this space on that one. That's going to be interesting. We just recently opened our new offices in Seattle, which has a 16,000 square foot mega store below it.
Wow.
Selling and featuring only Funko products.
Wow.
Which
They're exclusive products there?
lots of exclusive brands that we create
wow.
ourselves. Yeah.
Wow, great.
So some brands that are ours, some categories that obviously we own, and every imaginable product that Funko ever made is in that store, and it's doing. People fly from all over the world to go to that store.
Wow, that's fantastic.
So that that's kind of it's not necessarily our aspiration to have lots of stores, but certainly it's a great PR piece for the business to have that location open and running.
Oh.
I mean, there's a lot of focus in the business around digital, so keep an eye on all of that.
Right.
In terms of new products, there's too many to even mention, but we basically shipping each week approximately 50 new items, brand new items per week, which is
Across the different product lines.
yeah, unprecedented in this industry, in the collectibles and toy industry. I would say to have 50 new items a week, but that's our run rate. We have over 100 people in PD and product development helping us with that.
Yeah.
And just managing that business with all those new items is extremely challenging.
Yeah, it's amazing because I know like things like Pickle Rick from Rick and Morty
Yeah.
and the Ice King from Game of Thrones, those things came out and then within I guess 60 to 90 days you'd had product out there to fulfill the need. When it used to take
It used to take
forever
a
to
year.
come out, yeah.
Yeah, so speed to market.
It's not even hot anymore.
It's our we call it Funko Speed. Yeah, speed to market is the most important thing to us. We want to be current. We'll have Stranger Things products overnight. We'll have an item from Rick and Morty when it comes into the show.
Yeah.
We'll have it within 90 days, 120 days. That I think that's new. That's new to the industry. We're not planning 12 to 18 months out. We're planning to do something tomorrow that we decided to do today. So that's a new way of working, but it's needed in this digital universe that we're in now, right?
Yeah, great. All right, I'm going to end this with a speed round, and I'm calling it of all time. So I'm going to ask you a bunch of quick questions, and you're going to answer them as fast as you can. So here we go. Who is your favorite Doctor?
Tennant.
Who's your favorite Jedi?
Luke.
Who's your favorite superhero?
Iron Man.
And what's your favorite toy of all time?
My favorite toy of all time would be the Queen pop vinyl.
Great. All right, thank you very much, Andy.
Thanks.
Thanks.